In this episode, you'll learn how over-identifying with strength can keep you emotionally numb. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs to be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. 3 things you'll discover today. How strength can be a trauma mask. Why vulnerability is not weakness. And what to do when no one checks in on you. So, the strength relating to the trauma mask. This is toxic masculinity in a bundle. Real masculinity is not a false arrogance. Real masculinity has nothing to do with being better than others, than being physically stronger than others. Real masculinity is being the strongest that you can possibly be in spirit, in emotion, in physique. That is so separate from trying to be better than another person, than competing with others. If you're really strong, you're not even competing with yourself. You're letting spirit's strength be your root. Because you'll never reach the peak of your potential power without living in alignment with the spirit, which is void of self-interest. When you are driven by a real power, that power is a care and a love for humanity. And that power invokes you to not settle whatsoever. And if the trauma mask and the false strength is a insecurity, and it is a pain, a wound that has not been given presence, that's how men get arrogant, ignorant, and they act like someone like Mr. Tate. He's not bad, but he's definitely on that spectrum of I'm better than you. All simultaneously, I have that in me too. But you know what I've done with it is I've changed my attitude of I'm better to let me be the example for you so I can care and love for younger Justin who was broken. If I can lead by example, I am the epitome of strength without arrogance, without running from this trauma. See, true masculinity is a beautiful balance of channeling your feminine and also understanding your power. You have to find a balance within your heart, your spirit, and your worldly activities. So the false strength so frequently is like, let's take, for example, how many bullies are created. They usually have family problems. But then what they do is they channel that pain from the family issues into the others whom they bully at school or at camp or wherever it may happen. And what we can all do is start to say, you know what? I'm actually going to attend to my own suffering and pain, and I'm going to perpetuate it onto others. When I'm in a mood, when I have a certain attitude, when I'm thinking weak, not vulnerable, but victim, survival, self-pity, when I'm thinking in that manner, the true strength is to be silent and to sit with that state of being and to not send the word outward. Because if you have a state of vibration internally and you sit with it, then you can change it. But if you are to stay and operate in a weak energy, And to hamster wheel motion, that energy via weak speech, it all starts with your thoughts and your awareness of your thoughts. Do you have the wisdom to know when not to speak? They say, what do they say? Well, do unto others as you'd like done to self. But there's also another saying. Let me let go of that for a moment, and it'll come back if it needs to be mentioned. If you do not have anything nice to say, do not speak at all. And what that means by nice, we'll delete the word nice and we'll say, if you do not have anything true to say, do not speak at all. And that means the truth is something that you etch away. It's not something that you add. It's not using fancy vocabulary. It's not reading books and trying to imitate yogis. The truth is everything to do with the subtracting of what isn't true through your own relationship with yourself, through noticing your own falseness. It takes strength to do that. That's real strength. Real strength is knowing when not to speak. Real strength is knowing when to walk away. It is not being the loudest or the most aggressive. There will come moments where a wise man may hiss. He will not let himself be disrespected unless there is a deeper meaning behind that. And that is for you and your heart. And that is for you and your spirit. If you find yourself in one of those situations where you may be crucified, well, then so be it. But you have to have the discernment to understand when you will not be stepped on as well. That is real spirit and backbone. Yes. So vulnerability, it's not weakness. Vulnerability is the thing which allows you to be unoffendable. Because if you are honest and then you feel yourself being offended and you observe and notice your offense and you sit with it, process it, and let go of your offense, then your spirit is changing. Then you are doing the work. Now, if you do not put yourself in positions of vulnerability due to fear, insecurity, or excess thought of what if, worry, that is weakness. To put yourself in a spot of vulnerability is true strength. And you have to let that strength arise within you through sitting with your pain. As above, as below. When you sit with your weakness, you have the strength invoked in your heart. That's how it works. Now, what to do when no one checks in on you? Hey, very practically, your mind may go to a standpoint of no one cares about. But guess what? You need to understand that they're all so busy in their own mind's prison. So much of humanity, how can you expect another to care for you if they do not care for themselves? And many humans, although they may do things, they may have money, they may have a family, a lot of us are not caring for the spirit. And whether they have money and family and they seem happy, you cannot expect anyone to be anything for you. You will always be alone in the most intimate and beautiful sense, and that is the deepest strength you can possibly have, because that strength is communion with your heart and your spirit, your soul, whatever words you want to use, Shiva, Krishna, God, Christ, Allah. The words don't matter, and you are surely illusioned if you are attached to any specific avatar which I have just listed. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot have a likelihood, but you definitely would benefit from not staying in a single route religiously. See, the problem with mechanistic movement and opinionated ideology is you find yourself in a place of, I know. And then the moment that you think that you know, you are attached to an opinion or a belief. And when attached, you cannot meet another where they're at. You cannot let spirit move through you when you are so rigidly attached to an egotistical preference of perception. So, the game for all beings is to check in on yourself every moment of every day by observing your emotions, your energy, and feeling, and noticing where your attention is flowing. Because that awareness of your attention will absolutely allow you to tap into the deepest of insights which have been given to you. And you could call it a talent, you could call it whatever. It's not yours. When you live this life to the most true degree, you are simply a vessel. And you understand that the time will come where you turn to dust, so that you use that understanding to maximize the ripple effect that you have on this realm. Because if you can resonate and hear and see, not physically, please do not confuse that metaphor with physical sight and hearing. It is a awareness of your depths, of your energy, of what you are creating moment by moment. The real question is, do you have a form of activity that allows for you to start to notice and be aware of what you are each moment? Because if you move at a speed which is too fast and you do not have the spiritual connection to heart, to source, then you will sow nothing. You will sow nothing. So it is of the utmost importance that you are honest about where you are, who you are, and how you are. And that if any of this lands on correct pH soil, that you begin to change, that you question, that you write, that you introspect and you inquire into the nature of the essence which you are carrying as you move through this life. This is your life and it's your world. So why not do the work to create something that you truly see to be beautiful? And it's time for us to strip away the illusions of beauty. It's time for us to notice what we are each step of the day. And when you do that, when you live moment by moment, you will see the friction. You will use regret as a guideline, and you will learn from your actions, and your behavior will naturally shift toward truth. I appreciate you so much. If you know anyone who resonates with this, send it their way, share it with them. If you would like to get into amazing physical shape, check out what I'm building down below. It may not be linked just yet, but you'll definitely hear about it if you hop onto the newsletter. So that is below for free. And ultimately, I just genuinely appreciate it if you get this out there and you share it with some people. So share it with the right ones. Don't just send it to everyone. Share it with the individuals who you know are on this level. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Let's go.